Welcome to a little bit of a bonus video. We are going to talk about the new palette from Beauté. This is the Ocean Jewel palette. It is a really fun palette, and since I actually had a little bit of extra time and I did get this palette in early, look at this. I thought we'd do two different looks with this palette. I'll show you some swatches and I'll let you know how I feel about it, because overall I love Beauté. They have one of my favorite formulas, and I really love the different things that they do. This palette is pretty heavy. I don't know the price of this, but the other palette, I'm going to talk about this a little bit as well. The Smoky Glam was $75, and it's approximately the same kind of like concept, and they also have like mattes and special shades, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is $75 as well. This one, again, I don't know exactly when it is releasing and all of those things. I will put, when I know the release time, the release date, and the exact price, I'll put it down below, but assume that it's going to be somewhere between $70 and $80 and that it is releasing fairly soon. I do have a discount code with Beauté, and you can get 10% off, and that is Angelica, and I will leave that down below as well. This video is not sponsored, but they did send me this one in PR, and like I said, since I had some time, I thought that we'd dig into it. This palette is a really fun mix of just purples, blues, almost like tealy, like aqua colors, and then like a pop of almost like a marker green and a marker yellow. I really like the accent of those, and we're definitely going to be doing a look where we are using and utilizing a bit of that accent in here. If this was a perfect palette for me, I probably would have made maybe one of these shimmers be an even lighter shimmer, but that is again just my preference. Right now we have this really light shimmer here, but I would have wanted maybe one more that's like a little lighter and a brighter shimmer. I do really appreciate the different kinds of formulas that we have in here, and I'm very excited to dig into this one. I am expecting this to be awesome quality. There is a bunch of special shades in here, which is why the price is the way that it is. Beauté is definitely not an affordable indie brand. There are other indie brands out there that have more affordable eyeshadow palettes, but Beauté do put a lot of those like multi-chromes and more special shadows. Usually all the shimmers are that, and that's why the price ends up being so expensive. Also, it is a magnetic palette, which does give a lot of weight to it, but you're also able to move the shadows around. If that is something that you like, you also do end up paying a little bit extra for that. Also, quickly, before we go in and do looks with this one, I did want to talk a little bit about the Smoky Glam, because I didn't have time. This one came when I was traveling, and I didn't have time to do any looks with it. Let me see. So I thought, so I can talk about it a little bit briefly here, and maybe I can do something like a short or something. I'll show you some swatches of this, because you know from before that I love the Smoky Glam palette that they originally had. This is a remaking of that one. So this one has the same great mattes, and then they kept a couple of the duochromes and then put in some multi-chromes instead with the shimmers and made it less shades, which was my, quite honestly, my only critique with the big palette, was that I thought there was too many shades and a couple of them felt a little redundant because of the color story with the cool tone neutrals going into mauves, going into berries, and I feel like they solved that with this palette, and they kept like what makes the color story without being redundant. So I am really excited about this palette, and I do think that it is really I think it's really smart to redo the concept now that they're further along in the process of being like a brand. It's not always the case that indie brands knows exactly where they want to go with their brand when they start out, and I feel like Beauté the past couple of years have really found their stride in like what works for them and what works for their audience, and this one is $75, and again, you can use a code with this one too, and that's why I'm guessing that this is probably going to be around that price tag as well. I do have quite a few Beauté videos on my channel. I do have a full playlist about indie makeup in case you're interested in seeing some more indie makeup reviews, but let's zoom in and let's do the first look, and I'm gonna do purple going into that like marker green. I am wearing this really cute green dress, and I do have already mascara on, and that's because I was actually filming a full face of another brand before, and I was just having eyeliner and mascara, so I took the eyeliner off, but the mascara is still on. I hope that's going to be fine, but let's do the first look. I'm sorry if you hear some background noise. They are apparently cleaning the pool and doing some hedge work. Everybody needs to work. I'm gonna start with this one, and then I think I'm gonna blend it out with the warm purple, this one here. So I'm gonna use those two shades, and I'm starting with a small brush first. This is called Submerged, and I'm trying to like tap it off so we don't get any fallout. Oh yeah, this is definitely the Beauté that I know and love, and I'm gonna do what I like to call the blob. The blob is basically me just putting a little blob of color out here too, and I try to do it diagonally, lifting the eye up a little bit, because with age I do feel like we have to like fake the shapes a little bit if we do want a little bit more of a lifted look. I do know as of late it's been a little bit more in to have a non-lifted look as well. I've seen a lot of people do like a downturned eyeliner, which I feel is very interesting, and I love seeing people experiment with what's considered like how you're supposed to wear makeup and stuff like that. I love seeing those things. So this is the purple shade. It says Quahog. I don't really know what that means, but I'm gonna put this next to it. This is very intense. I thought I was gonna be blending with this, but I don't know if that's possible. I'll put a little bit on the edge too, but dang, that is pink. Do you see that? That's bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. But honestly, okay, this purple is extremely pigmented. I'm just gonna put that on the edge, and I'm gonna clean this brush off. Oh my gosh. And I'm gonna go in with Fleur de la Mar. Is that how you spell that? Isn't it Fleur de la Mar? It might be a different language. I don't know that many languages. I really should not be having any opinions about language, but I'm guessing it's the... Either it is the flower of the ocean, or maybe it's something else, and it's a different language, and I don't know. Because again, I am not a language expert, but I do know that Mar is ocean in more than one language, I think. So I'm using this one to just blend on the edge. It's like a lighter color, because that purple was wildly pigmented, which is fun. I love that. Okay, this purple is very, very pigmented, but also like so pigmented that I wish that I would have started with that purple first, because that would probably have made it even more impressive look. But I mean, that's on me for not swatching them before. But I do like not swatching the shadows before and going in a little bit blind. I do prefer that. So let's go in with Luminescence. This one right here, it is the one that's the green over the yellow. This one seems almost like a neon pastel, which probably when you work with these, it's easier to pat than to swipe. I am gonna put that in the inner part of the crease. That's really cool. I am feeling a little Ursula. This shadow is giving a lot of kick up in the pan, but again, I feel like with these like almost neon-y bright pastels, it's because they have so much like white pigment in them, so it's kind of inevitable. I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing at all. I'm gonna try and do the same purples under my eyes too. So this is what I'm saying, that you can see there's a lot of kick up in the pan. It is what it is. Sir. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to film over this. So I was thinking this shimmer right here, it has like a little bit of a green duochrome like feel to it in the inner part. And then something, do I want to do this one? Let me swatch and see which one I want. So this is the one I'm thinking in the inner part. Oh yeah, definitely. It does have a green shift to it. I feel like you can see it here. This is Colorful Moon. It would work. This is Oyster. This would work too. It would give this really cool sheen. I also have Heart of the Ocean, which is really dark, and it has that like pink sheen, like multichrome. I don't know if that's what I want. Is this the best? I feel like I want to do this because it's a little different. The one that's called Oyster. So this is Oyster, and I did spray it a little bit. And we are gonna be covering this part before the green. That's really cool. I definitely could have gone with the darker purple to keep with the theme, but I kind of wanted to bring in something else as well, and I feel like this is really doing that. So this is the shade Mother of Pearl, and I'm just gonna put that next to it because it is the lightest shimmer we have in this palette. And I'm just gonna pat this over some of the green so that we have, oh yeah, look at that. You have that lightness going into the green. I think this, perfect. Okay, so I used a little bit of the ColourPop Electric Daisy in my waterline. Unfortunately, this one is discontinued, but it is like perfect for this look. But yeah, this is what it looks like right now. I think it looks absolutely incredible. This is exactly what I had in mind. I just kind of wish this light shade here was a little bit more green. But that's just like, that doesn't even matter because the look is still bomb.com. This look is very dramatic and it's very me, and it's definitely like, I feel like I am capturing like the look of the palette in this look with the bright green meets the purple. It's a very me look. It's a very the palette look. In the next look, I kind of want to do more like I don't even know, but I almost want to do like in neutrals meet some of these blues. I feel like that's what I want to do because there are some neutrals here, and I like when I do more than one look with a palette for social media. I like to be like either something that's really bright and something that's a little bit muted, maybe something that's neutral, something that's colorful, maybe something that's easy, something that's complicated. I want to show some kind of like variation, and there's a lot of variation in this palette, and I want to be able to showcase that. So this was look number 1. So far, really enjoying it. Let's get into look number 2. It is time for the second look, and this time I actually have swatched the palette, so I know a little bit more about the palette. So what I was thinking is that I am actually going to do neutrals in the upper crease, and then I want to play with this one and this one, these two shimmers, the dark and the light one, and I want to play with this one here. So I'm going to do neutrals going into turquoise, and probably turquoise and that like aqua on the lower lash line too. So I brought out 2 brushes, and we are going to start with the, it's called Conch, the lightest of the mattes. And you can see on me that has a little bit more of a golden undertone, and I use a little bit more of a golden undertone primer. I always use the Sigma Ignite, and this is a Cinch EO8, by the way, which has literally been one of my favorite brushes I've ever created. I just love how this one works with like blending and getting an opaque result. But since my primer is a bit yellow toned too, you can see this is pulling very gray on me. But I'm starting with this one, and I'm gonna make sure to blend this upwards. I don't care about here because we're gonna be covering that for sure. So I'm trying to blend, but I also don't want to over blend because it might look a little muddy on me. But I think that this is a really good start. So this is the darker tortoise. I have a really hard time saying that. Tortoise? I think that's it. Ooh. I like that. Okay, let me put that to deepen this up, and we're still having so much like road work just on this little junction that we have outside of our little neighborhood, and I can hear it, but I don't know if you can, but I hope you can't, because I don't want it to bother you the way that it's been bothering me this past couple of weeks. Okay, let me see if we can blend those together a little bit. There's definitely like a little bit of a different tone to this, but I don't think there'll be, no, I don't think there'll be a problem to blend these together. I think I'm gonna go in with the shimmers now. This is Shark's Eye, and it's this really dark, nice teal. Wait, let me spray it. And we are gonna put that on the outer half of the lid. Spray that first spray right past. Like, maybe a little bit more in like this. I think that's gonna be so cool. And then we're gonna do the lighter one next to it. But maybe I will work with that minty sea glass first, which is that matte. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that I want to put that one on first. But doesn't that look so cool? I'm gonna put a little bit more closest to the lash line. I am a very big fan. Doesn't that look so good? And look at that little purple shift that goes into that like plummy outer corner. So good. Okay, so this is Sea Glass, and we are gonna put that in the inner, Love that. In the inner corner, absolutely stunning. And also, I'm putting a little bit on the lid, but up towards the inner part of the crease. And also, I think I'm gonna do like a little bit on the lower lash line too, right? Oh, this one also has a lot of fallout. So be careful. Don't swirl around in this one. Just tap, tap, tap. That will be enough. Let's see if we can use some of the other, maybe like this and maybe this, and just do like a darker. This one is the Shipwreck, which is the darkest one, and just do a darker turquoise lower lash line. I'm just gonna do a little bit of this super dark one over here to just tie it together. It's always smart to connect your upper lash line with your lower lash line. It's usually a good idea, especially when you do dramatic looks. This one is Sunken Treasure. That's perfect. Again, these shadows are very loosely packed, so make sure to just dab in them. Don't be swirling because you will get a lot of kick up in the pan. I might have a little bit of like fallout, so let's see if we can get rid of that. But I think that looks really good. Let me actually do, what do I have as like a liner? That one's a little dark. This was a ColourPop one. Oh, maybe this one. No, that's dark too. Wait, don't I have like a great one from like Maybelline or something? Oh, this one. This is like LA Girl, right? This is the Shockwave Neon Eyeliner in Fresh. I think that is perfect for that. Now we're gonna do, it's Nautilus, which is that like mint lighter shade. I am gonna spray it, especially now when we want to cover some of the matte that we have here. Yes, I do think that this will be really good. Oh, I think I picked up way too much. Hold, let me get that on the other side. I'm gonna brush this up a little bit, and we're gonna go back in with that matte after and just make them. I think that is looking really good. I feel like they're really like going together. I feel like I mean, that's really nice. I'm just doing a little bit with the Sea Glass matte now, just to like cover the edge and make this look opaque. It really helps with just tying everything together. It's definitely a little bit more different than the other look. I actually, and I don't know why, but I actually thought that this was gonna end up being way more neutral, but I will say these neutrals, the tortoise shade, tortoise, oh my god, I'm gonna have so much problem with that. The tortoise shade is definitely pulling super purple on me, like super purple on me. So even though they look brown here, you can tell on me, this looks like almost like a plummy, I mean, the look is gorgeous. Okay, so I did decide to leave this on for a little bit because yesterday I did have some creasing with my eyeshadow, and I do actually have some creasing now too. That's why I brought out my brush, and that's what I will say. The shimmers, incredible. The mattes, incredible. But if you do have more aging or hooded eyes like me, unfortunately these shimmers do crease on me. And every time I say that, people say you need to use a glitter primer, but I'm telling you right now, a glitter primer does not keep my eyeshadows from creasing. Quite honestly, it does the opposite. It does not keep it from creasing. That's not what the glitter primer does. It makes the glitters adhere to your lids. I've heard many people just like me. Let me actually zoom in. Let me see if I can. I heard many people, can you see the creasing here? I've heard many people like me who also say that like glitter primer does not, it looks beautiful though, does not work for anti-creasing. So I mean, the palette is beautiful. I love the performance. I love everything about the colors, but unfortunately some of these very like emollient high impact shimmers have a tendency of creasing on me within the hour. I just have to babysit them a little bit. Like you saw, it wasn't hard for me to smush it out, but I do wish I didn't have to do that. But the look is beautiful. I love the color story of this palette. And if you don't have any problems with creasing, I'm sure you won't have any problems at all with this one. And again, like I said, it's very easy for me to like smush it out. It is something about the emollient of the shadow, the way that they just look this wet and the way that they swatch this beautiful. There's something about that that just never 100% sets down on your lid, which just makes them move around a little bit. Just something to keep in the back of your head. I do want to be like as helpful and as transparent as possible when I am showing you looks and talking about eyeshadows. I will of course be using this a little bit more before I do my final review, but let me know what you think about this like first and second impression of the palette. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you real soon in a new video.